Cracking a law firm's interview can be a tough nut to crack. But what is tougher is to get through the scanning eyes of an HR. How to do that? We have somebody very, very special to help us out with that. Today on an hour with LawSikho, we have Mr. Nipun Bhatia, who has 10 years of experience in HR. And today he will tell us the secret to get through an HR's eyes. Nipun, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you on board with us today.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Thank you so much.
All right, Nipun, we have a couple of questions lined up for you today, and we really are looking forward to your answers. But before starting with all of them, we would want to know about your journey. You started off with the fashion industry, and then you decided to opt for law. You did your CA, and now you're in HR. Tell us all about it. We're really interested to know about it.
The journey perhaps just panned out to be as adventurous as it sounds. It wasn't something that was planned from day one. I knew it for a fact that when I completed my chartered accountancy and law, I was very sure that I'm going to practice neither, because during my internships, I was pretty clear that this is a hardcore practice, is something that I may not be getting into. So the experience that I picked during internships, I figured out that I'm more towards the management side and more towards helping people achieve their dreams. So the first job as a finance manager with an apparel brand was the logical step, because once you're done with your CA, everybody expects you to take on a finance related job, and that's how that happened. But soon thereafter, I figured out the numbers are pretty dry and not my cup of tea for sure. So I thought maybe the next step for me would be to probably try out something that will help me take my legal experience into consideration. So I took on a job at one of the law firms, but again, not practicing into law, but trying to help them with their administration and finance primarily. Interestingly, HR is something that happened more out of my interest. So I quite liked getting into people's issues, helping them sort out their problems. I'm a people's person. It's interesting for me to talk to new people, understand how everyone's different, how everybody's issues are different, how we can actually a pep talk or a motivational talk really helps people in just motivating them and getting them to probably achieve their dreams. So HR is something I purely picked out of my interest, and God was lucky enough. So the person who was doing the HR at the law firm incidentally put in her papers, and my managing partner called on me, and he's like, Nipun, are you ready to take on? Because I see you have a potential to take up the HR role. And for me, it was more like a dream come true. And I then took up the HR role. The other. So this has been the journey so far. I think HR happened purely out of interest, and is something that I thoroughly enjoy. Matlab, it's never been a day when I feel, oh God, I have to look into it. It is always very exciting to step out of your house, meet new people, see everybody's various style of managing their work, managing their relationships. So I believe it's something that I really, really enjoy.
All right, Nipun. So presently you're working as AVP architect. How did you decide that I mean HR can be very very vast. How did you decide that you're going to how did you decide that you're going to recruit lawyers when they are like one of the most difficult people to deal with?
See, that's perhaps the fun part of it, because I feel the HR function in law firms, I feel, is really, really underrated. I have seen big law firms with more than 60 lawyers actually not even recruiting a basic help to look into their HR issues, because partners really feel that they can look into the issues themselves. I wouldn't deny that. Yes, partners and managing partners play a fair bit of role because they interact with those resources on a day-to-day basis. But I genuinely feel that role of HR is highly underrated in law firms. I feel now, out of experience, I've been in this field for more than 7 years, looking into the HR functions. I understand that there are smaller nuances. If you actually get a trained HR person on board, not only are you able to have sustaining partnerships at the senior level, you keep your junior resources happy, you have actually a plan to get into it. So while I was working with my first law firm, I figured out that we were able to make a difference by introducing innovative compensation structures. We were able to make a difference by rewarding people for their education, rewarding people for taking initiatives. All of it, when I was putting into place, I said, this is like a blank canvas which is in front of a painter's eye. I have so much to paint on this. So perhaps this is what I luckily got in touch with Ms. Bitika Anand, who's the CEO of Legal League Consulting. And since then, I was like, it was perhaps a God sent match. And I said, yes, Legal League Consulting being the first management consultants to legal industry in India. This is something that's unique. This is something that is going to help me achieve my dreams. And this is something that's going to help me make difference to people's lives.
All right. Nipun, you've done a couple of degrees, to be honest. You've done your LLB, you've done your CA, you've done your post-graduation diploma in IPR laws. I have a question from Avipia who wants to know whether it's a good idea to do an MBA after your law graduation.
Yes, depends on the kind of field that you want to get into. So, and I believe I've mentioned this on a couple of occasions that whether you're doing a 3 year course or whether you're doing a 5 year course, you need to have some bit of clarity once you are in the advanced years of your education as to what is it that you really want to do. Now, having pursuing an MBA after LLB will make sense if you want to get into something on the managerial side. If you are very sure that you are going to be practicing law, if you are very sure that you are going to, you want to you want to be a litigator, you want to be a corporate lawyer, if you want to enhance that, I think an LLM would make more sense. But an MBA is very, very important for very different kind of work that now lawyers are doing. Like I interestingly meet so many people who today say that, Nipun, I want to get into business development. Nipun, I want to get into profiling and branding for lawyers. Now, these are really new fields that are coming up and catching up. And I'm very happy that this awareness is also coming into today's generation who understand that once you've done law, pursuing law is not the only option. You have several gates now you can enter, and you have several avenues to showcase your talent. Somebody is very good with writing. Get into legal journalism. Get into probably writing articles that is going to spread knowledge. That is going to showcase your thought leadership. So, if you want to go into fields which are connected to law but not necessarily practice of law, MBA makes more sense. Otherwise, I'd just go at a master's degree if you want to go for higher education.
All right, Nipun. Nipun, this is like something I really want to know because I believe that every day the HRs receive n number of applications for internships and interviews. How many applications do you receive on an average day?
Okay, I'll answer these questions from two perspectives. From a normal HR of a mid-sized law firm, you would get anything ranging between 50 to 100 applications on a given day. For a big firm, the number run into several hundreds. Now, how how is it that the fundamental question I'm asked every time when I meet a group of students is, are you guys looking into the CV? Or is it just straight away going to be put and parked in the inbox of some email ID and nobody's ever even going to look at it? Again, the answer of it depends. From law firm to law firm, everybody has a very different approach. I see some firms which are very meticulous in receiving the applications, acknowledging them, but at the end of it, we still know, if you were at my place, you would understand managing a traffic of 50 to 100 pure applications when you would have several work related emails also to look at is a number that is fairly large. So, yes, the traffic is pretty much there, the competition is pretty much out there, but there are certain hacks which you can probably
Nipun,
use
are you there?
to ensure that your application gets shortlisted.
All right, Nipun. We lost you a little in the middle while you were talking. some internet congestion. Could you please come again with where you were talking about that it depending on the firm size, what do you do? Uh, Nipun, are you there? Can you hear me?
Nipun, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello, Nipun, can you hear me?
Nipun, can you hear me?
I'm not able to hear you.
Hello.
Hello?
Uh, Nipun, are you there?
Nipun, are you there?
I can see you. I
I
can
can
hear you,
see you. I can hear you.
but
Hello. Did they able to hear
yeah,
me?
yeah, we got you back.
Got you back.
Yes, I am
Yes,
able
I am
to hear
able
you.
to
Can you
hear you.
hear
Can you
me?
hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. Go ahead. Please repeat your question once again.
Hi. So,
So,
all right. So we did
alright. So we did
lose you a
lose you
little
a
when
little
you were
when you were
talking
talking
about
about
how a big size
how a
firm
big
and a
size
small
firm and a
size
small
firm have
size
a
firm have a
different way of
different way
looking
of
at it.
looking at it.
Ritik, just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. I believe there's some issue on the.
Yes, Mohan, we agree and
We agree
acknowledge
and
that the audio and video quality is slightly not up to the mark today. This is
I can hear.
primarily because of the internet congestion that we are facing. But don't worry, we will be back on track in no time. Keep your questions coming and keep yourself hooked on to an orbit with LawSikho. Nipun, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. So we lose you a little when you were talking about how there's a difference between a mid-sized law firm and a large law firm. A mid-sized law firm and a large-sized law firm having a difference in filtering the applications. Could you please come back on that?
In terms of how are you making a difference so that the CV gets noticed, right? If I've got the question correct.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Tricky bit, but I'll answer that question for you. So I'll summarize a few do's and I'll summarize a few don'ts. Ensure that your
Sure.
CV at any given point of time is reflective of the true work that you do. Having said that, do not go into an essay writing competition. The crisper you are with detailed information, the crisper you are with to the point correct information, nobody wants to get into reading 4 or 5 pages of all going gaga about yourself. It has to be a crisp document that summarizes your true experience. The problem, sadly, is we believe that the larger the CV, the more we kind of figure out as to oh, this looks so much impressive. The trend today is to have a 1 pager or 2 pager CV. When you're sending in your applications as well, ensure that the highlight of your CV is clearly mentioned in the subject, because that is what I'm going to look at it first when it pops up in my email. So if you are interested in, say, a litigation position, and your subject line of the email just says resume or job application, it doesn't interest me. I would probably not even want to look at it because I will have to browse through the whole email, cover letter, CV. Instead, it'll make a lot of sense if I just get an email with a simple subject saying, uh, litigating lawyer, 2 years PQE, job application. At least if I have an immediate requirement for a litigation profile, this is something that catches my eye. I'm going to park it, and come back to that application. So, A, be concise, be crisp in what you want to reflect. B, do not go on and on writing about yourself in the CV. Short, crisp CV are the mantra. Third, if you have gaps, if you have anything that a recruiter may be,
maybe a red flag for a recruiter. For example, say you've had a gap year or you've had some thing that has affected your studies or anything. Do not hesitate to bring out that fact in the CV. No HR likes last minute surprises. So if you have a couple of gap years, do not try and cover it up by saying, I've heard all sorts of funniest cover ups saying that, oh, I was working with my mama chacha who was running a firm. I was helping my so and so doing a firm. We are not fools sitting here. So the truer you are, the more correct. And we also want to see how bona fide you are while applying. We would not, if there is something that I discover while I'm speaking to you in an interview, it would completely put me off. I will have to, I will, from there, that point of time, I will have to view everything with a suspicion, probably. Not also suspicion, probably from the perspective that, oh, is there a hidden message to it which I need to decode? Nobody likes that feeling. While you're hiring, we need to have people
Sure.
who
Nipun, I'm sorry to
are.
cut you in the middle. We are not able to see you. Can you turn on your camera?
Oh, wait. Does this work?
Yes, this is much better. Please go ahead.
Okay. So what I was trying to say that no HR likes last minute surprises. So guys, be truthful in what you put on your CV. Be crisp and have a proper tagline while you're sending in your applications. These are just a few basics.
All right. We have a question again from Avi Priya, and she wants to know what would be the best further course after BA LLB honors. I want to go into corporate sector, whether LLM or MBA or CS. What would help?
LLM definitely enhances your chances of getting known as a specialist in a particular area. I feel CS is something that's again a lot on the procedural aspect of it. So if you want to make inroads in more of secretarial work, or the practice related practice areas are corporate compliances, general corporate advisory, banking and finance, project finance. If the area of interest is all of these, it makes more sense for you to do, say, a CS. But if you want to do, again, I said MBAs, definitely if you are looking into other areas, MBA also is handy if in the long run you want to get into the GC mode. Why is it? Because when you go in-house, it is not just the briefs, the drafting, the pleading, then it's you're running your own department. So then you have all sorts of expectations from you to run it as profitably as possible. Nowhere are people want to consider now legal departments as cost center. People want legal departments to be viewed as profit centers. So their management skills would definitely be coming in a lot handy. So yes, if your eventual end goal is to go and become a GC, yes, probably MBA might be of help. But I truly feel that MBA is then again from the perspective of a holistic development. If you want to get into other sorts of fields, the third option was I've covered LLM, I've covered CS, I've
CS.
covered MBA. Yeah, CS
Yes.
I mentioned more
All
if you
right.
want to go into the compliances side.
Great. All right, Nipun. So tell us that what now you told us that you get approximately 100, anywhere ranging from 50 to 100 applications on an everyday basis if you're talking about a mid-sized law firm, and the number can go anywhere when it's a big law firm. So what should one do to get attention of the HR is my question. Is the big question of the hour.
Guys, I'll cover up a few best practices, so to say, and I'll also cover up a few things that are a complete red flag. Um, HR department people are human beings. Do not hound them with 100 calls while they may be doing other things also. I believe this is one of the biggest grievance I have. Students need to start valuing not just their time, but also the time of the HR people. So, yes, while a courteous phone call is very, very important for you to follow up on any sort of applications that you would have sent, the interesting part is if it goes on a call wait, do not try the number 10 times, because the person may actually genuinely be busy attending to some sort of an official work. I have had instances where I would get like probably 10 or 12 missed calls while I'm on one official call, and when I call back the other person, I get to hear something saying, "Oh, it was just a job application or an internship application." So these are a couple of red flags I want to highlight about. Do not send in an application, please, for heaven's sake. Do not send to all in a two, where I know that you've sent your application to 100 law firms in one go. Guys, you cannot be lazy in this. It's a matter of your career. So please ensure meticulous sending of application. There is no one size fits all approach. I mean, in a same cover letter and one email and one resume, you're applying right from the top tier firm to probably a startup. It's not going to fetch you anywhere, and it really completely ticks us off. So yes, things that do not get your attention are these which I've just told you about. Things that would get your attention, as I said, a clear and crisp description on your subject line, very important. The cover letter also can be brief. See, the whole idea is, how are you ensuring that your application has to offer something different to me than the other 99 applications I'm getting. If you've had an achievement, if so, for example, the persons I know secured an all India one rank in one of the entrance exams, some an LLM entrance exam. Now that's a USP. Somebody securing rank one is a good achievement to put, at least on the academic side. Ensure that you put that when you're sending it, so that it catches my eye. At least if I'm a firm that really values academics, and I think all firms do it, at least that CV will catch my eye. So why am I even in this interaction, why am I able to recall this? Because that is something that caught my attention. But having said that, there are certain very weird applications I also get, where the kids write to the extent saying, "I know you would be getting 100 applications in a day, but I just wanted to request you to consider." No, don't start off with that. Please, for heaven's sake, you guys need to have a clear-cut approach, and do not sound underconfident, do not sound overconfident. It is just a matter of rightly summarizing your achievements. What is your USP? How can you distinguish your achievements from the other achievements is what is going to catch my eye for you. So somebody who's had a good stint at moot court, somebody who's had good stint in sports, do mention all of that out, because these points become a point of conversation. Even in CV, I see a lot of times people do not mention their hobbies, or something that comes up very weird. I see in a lot of interviews that I take, hobbies become a very important point for me to break the ice with a concerned candidate, because there is something off work that I can talk to the candidate about, and I can make the candidate feel comfortable. And if we have common interest,
Nipun, we've
at least
lost
I
you
get
again.
to know that, oh, this is definitely something that I can talk to the candidate about. So these are little things that probably can catch one's eye.
All right, great. Apart from that, Nipun, what would be an ideal subject line?
Aditya, you need to be a little more louder on this.
Nipun, can you wear your earphones? My voice will echo if it's not on earphones. Nipun, can you hear me?
Yeah. You'll have
All
to
right.
be a
Can you please
little
put your
louder.
earphones on? Otherwise, my voice will echo.
Wait. Are you able to see me, Aditya?
No, the camera is off also. Yes. All right. So Nipun, what will be an ideal subject line?
Yes, I can hear.
All right. Can you tell us what will be an ideal subject line for catching an HR's attention? Because I'm sure all the subject lines should ideally be application for so and so month. Is there a specific subject line that can actually create a difference?
Mm, couple of things that I would always want an applicant to write in the subject line is the practice area, is the PQE. PQE, when I say PQE, is the post qualification experience, because a lot of times this becomes my first point of sifting a CV. If I'm looking for a person with 5 years of experience, the moment I get a CV that says 4 to 5 years, at least it'll catch my eye. So it's always good to mention your post qualification experience. Um, every firm has different ideology in terms of what importance do they give to a law school. So I don't really think it's the best idea to put your law school in the subject line, but practice area, post qualification experience, what your interest lies in, definitely needs to come across. I guess these are two three things that should really that's going to catch my eye to a CV. And yes, if you have any additional qualification, do mention that as well.
All right. Nipun, can you still hear me?
Where they have solicitors exam, so I guess they do need to mention that.
All right. Can you hear me?
For me, are
Nipun,
you
are you
able
able
to
to
Yes, I
hear
can
me?
hear you. Aditya. Repeat the question.
can
Can
you
you please wear
please
your
wear your
earphones?
earphones?
Hello?
Something not correct.
Nipun, are you there? Nipun, can you hear me? Hello? Nipun, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, great. So, Nipun, you said that ideally one person should definitely give a follow-up call once the application is sent as a matter of practice. However, what should be an average time of people following up? This is a question by Shruti Maheshwari. How often should one follow up with the firms or the HRs of the firms? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Nipun, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Aditya.
Yeah, great. So Nipun, you said there are they ideally one should follow up with the firms or the HRs of the firms. However, what should be an average time of people following up with the firms or the HRs of the firms? Seriously, we are really sorry for a terrible experience today. We'll try to make up for it at the earliest. But don't stop your questions coming. Keep putting in your questions. We have a lot of them. Nipun has joined us again. Nipun, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, great. So Nipun, you said that there are like people should ideally follow up once they've sent their application. That should be an ideal practice. However, you
Anything
also said that. Yeah. However, you also said that there should be a limit to them disturbing the HRs. So, Shruti Maheshwari wants to know how often should one follow up with a law firm or an HR of a law firm?
An ideal period is 7 to 15 days. Um, Having said that, while it's extremely good to be proactive in your follow-ups, I did mention I think code of conduct and demeanor is also equally important. I get applications and phone calls from people where they go till the extent of saying, "So we really looking forward to job application. Can you really help us out?" Um, I need to highlight this fact here that yes, while it's important to be proactive in your follow-ups, you need not come across as somebody who is very desperate to take up a job, because then that again goes towards a little bit of the negative side. So yes, always first thing that you need to do when somebody answers your call is to say, "Sir, I am so and so. Is it a good time to speak regarding, even if it's a job application or an internship application?" Because usually the tendency is, the moment I'll answer a call, the first thing that I get from people is, "So I'm this is it is it's a matter of courtesy to just say, 'Sir, is it a good time to speak to you? Am I disturbing you? Can I catch a minute of you?'" This is just a matter of basic courtesy, and it wins my confidence from the word go, because I know the person is courteous enough to check with me whether I'm available to talk or not, as opposed to somebody who I need to actually, interrupt in the middle and say, "Just hold on. Can I have your name? May I know what are you, what is the call regarding?" Because see, uh, contrary to popular belief that HRs only arrange the birthday parties and cake cutting ceremonies, the HRs have a lot of work to do. This may range anything from recruitments to getting into sorting out people's issues, partners, performance evaluations, and several other stuff. So do not assume that the HR team only has these calls to attend to. That's why it's always as a matter of good practice. Ensure that whenever you're calling anybody, just ask if the person can spare a couple of minutes to speak to you. Be crisp in what you have to say and ask, and then let it finish it off. And a reasonable time period for follow is anything ranging between 7 days to 15 days, unless there is a shorter or a longer limit that has been told to you by the concerned person.
All right. Uh, Nipun, we've spoken about following up, we've spoken about the subject matter we saw. However, there are a lot of people, including Arvind, Kunal, and Mohan, who want to know what are the key factors that that catches your eyes in a CV. Is it going to be great scores, online courses, internships? What is it that ideally a person should include in CV that will get an HR's attention?
I wouldn't shy away from saying definitely a good academic score. All said and done, it does make a difference, but it's not the be all and end all. It is also, so what I've seen, the general tendency is everybody thinks the number of internships that they would put on the CV gets them those brownie points. I would never look for the number of internships that you've done, but I would always, and as a matter of practice, the usual HR team would always try and look for the variety that you have covered. So it is not just that if you have, for the sake of putting us or hitting a certain number, that you have, you know, mentioned so many internships. What different have you done in each of the internships? So for me, if you've come up with a fixed mindset that you're applying, if you want to do litigation in long run, and you have covered at least 4 or 5 litigation firms, but have also done a fair amount of other firms for you to realize that yes, litigation is your cup of tea, it makes a difference for me to see what is the variety that you have covered. Having said that, yes, if I have a very lopsided CV, um, I will probably see that you've applied to my firm with out of desperation. So there are times when I see I'm an out and out corporate firm, and somebody has done all the internships in dispute resolution, arbitration, and then I get a CV, and then the person says, sir, I'm really interested in doing corporate work. I'm sorry, what you're speaking is not what's being reflected on your CV. So if you, as I always say, that when you are planning, even when you reach the advanced years of your law course, by that time you should have covered a fair amount of variety, and by fourth year or fifth year, especially in the last couple of years, you need to showcase that you have made some mind in some direction. So if it's somebody who wants to do IPR, but I don't see a single internship with IP experience on your resume, how am I believing that you are, interested in pursuing IPR? I would just say probably since my firm has a vacancy in IPR, you're only trying to fill in that vacancy for me.
Nipun, I have a very interesting question from Shruti. I'm not too sure whether it pertains to HR or not, but still, it's an interesting. How can one approach partners in law firms on LinkedIn? What would be the best way of communicating that you're interested in a job indirectly on LinkedIn?
Okay. I have seen LinkedIn becoming a popular tool, popular networking tool these days. And yes, I do agree that, um, it while it is an important networking tool, I have, in my experience and on the basis of my interaction with the partners so far, I would hardly see them taking any decisions on the basis of the fact that somebody's approached them on LinkedIn. See, LinkedIn is a professional network, but it's also the true use of it is when I have seen it when you are more um, progressed in your career. As a fresher, I have 100 applications to deal with. Partners, on the other hand, if you see, are not going to take a decision solely on the basis of somebody approaching them on LinkedIn. I believe the true ways in which you can make a difference in a partner's eye definitely is through internships. I've seen people who give their heart and soul while they are interning, and it's definitely a quality worth appreciating. But if you are doing it solely from the purpose of being offered a PPO, or the fact that you're going to be absorbed, I believe if the firms do not have a practice of giving PPOs or hiring the interns, if you are working hard, good enough, but at the end of it, do not get disappointed if the firm doesn't hire you. I know I see a few people, really running through and through during the period of their internship, and to the extent of being misconstrued, I've actually walked up to them and said, I appreciate your hard work, but if you're doing it solely from the purpose that it's going to be, the firm's going to make you a PPO, it's not going to happen because we do not have a policy. So people also need to do their recce correct while applying for internship, while, kids today are very well networked. I believe things like LinkedIn, things like networking should be used to know more about the culture of the firm. See, most of the firms today are present on LinkedIn. They do their announcements, they do their press releases. Use LinkedIn to gauge more knowledge about the firm and the kind of work that the firm does. Instead of using it for a straight approaching to a partner, I'd suggest you need to utilize these social or professional networks to complete your recce about a firm and then approach them with a very, very planned mindset. As I said, um, if a purely dispute resolution firm gets an application that says, Sir, I am interested to work in the corporate department of your firm, I laugh it to myself. Guys, are you sleeping while you're applying? I mean, the least you could do is go online, read about a firm, and then put in applications. Because for me, it's a complete no-no from the word go. I'm not even going to look at that application again. So all I'm saying is, see, I wouldn't know a candidate. The only way I would know you or I would judge you is through what you project to me by your application, by your cover letter. If you appear to be confused, if your facts do not appear to be correct, I will not be, even willing to look at the application again. So as I think at this, at the cost of repetition, I'll again say that it's very, very important to get your basic research about the firm correct. If you have personal contacts, if you have seen working for a particular firm, talk to them and know about the nature of the firm. A firm that has a strict no PPO policy, there is no point expecting a PPO when the firm is not going to make an exception. Having said that, yes, there are firms who are very pro in hiring interns. If you want to pursue an internship there and put your best foot forward, go and do it. So use personal contacts, use social media, use professional networks to gauge your knowledge about the firm and go with a planned approach rather than coming across as something who is you know uh, अंधेरे में तीर चलाना is a popular Hindi saying. So you can't just send in applications by hit and trial. I mean, that wouldn't work.
All right. Uh, Nipun, one of the like there are two common an average firm recruit. The first way is through POs. The second way is through campus recruitment. I mean, if they have the policy, of course. However, the number of people who get selected through a regular approach, that is by applying and getting recruited, is something that does not happen very often. So Hardik Sabharwal wants to know that how often do good firms recruit freshers, not through campus or PPOs, also how difficult it is for a fresher to start with a mid-tier law firm through a regular course of application.
Yes. Again, as I say, every firm has a different policy. Again, it depends a lot on the kind of firm that you're approaching to, be it a mid-tier firm or even a top-tier firm. When you have people in the industry who are working already for law firms, so I know a couple of my clients in Mumbai, they are very, very proactive. The managing partners, in fact, themselves monitor the HRID and any application that comes in. So they would themselves be hands-on. They would forward to the HR, and from there we probably kind of just take it forward. So the fact of the matter is, you need to over a period of time develop an understanding, and that is, again, these are telltale signs which you can really easily pick up during your internship. So while you're applying for to 50 firms during your internship or 25 firms during your internship, the kind of responsiveness that you see from every firm. So some firms are very, very particular that even on an internship application, they're going to send an acknowledgement. They're going to, call in maybe for a telephonic round and send you whether it's a go or a no-go situation. Pick up all those little nuances, that when you know that a firm is very, very particular in responding to emails, then utilize the same approach while applying for a job application. It's nothing different from how you do an internship application. Yes, while you're applying for an internship, your academics would be the only thing you need to showcase. While you're applying for a job, you need to be very careful in projecting the kind of experience you've gained and the kind of internships you've done, if it's probably the first job. But there is no true formula, so to say, as to how you're going to get an HR to notice. Also, students need to be careful about the cyclical tendencies. So most of the firms get into the hiring mode in the months of April and May, because they are the fresh start to a financial year. Firms are in the phase of doing their recruitment planning. So these are perhaps the correct time, April and May, for people to go out and start sending their job applications. February and March may not be the correct time, because year-end closings, I'm not talking about litigation firm, but for example, corporate or banking and finance have lots and lots of deals to close. Those are the times when your partners and HRs would not even call you for an interview. Nobody's going to save your resume for a later date. So you need to be wise and smart to understand the nuances that also, these are softer things which nobody is going to tell you, but probably you'll need to pick this up from your experience and by way of your interaction with the seniors who are in the practice.
So, Nipun, from an HR perspective, how is a recruiting cycle like? For us, for people who are applying for a job, it's very simple. We send an application, we follow up hundreds and thousands of times till the time HR notices us, gives us a reply, then we follow up again to get like an internship date, and we join an internship. From your perspective, how does an application procedure looks like?
Again, it's a very, very tricky question, and there are times when I get calls from people who will say that, sir, just tell me when will I be recruited, or when will be a time when I will get a response? I say, buddy, it's uh, I shouldn't be saying this for the industry that I am in, but in law firms, a lot of hiring is need based. You do not know. Tomorrow, I may get a huge, big transaction, and I need manpower to close that transaction if I'm in the development phase. So, at that particular point of time, I may go in for a hiring spree, but that is again something which is very, uh, which is contingent on an eventuality. So there is no really a set formula of when does a firm hire, but yes, there definitely, as I said, April and May are the times when you will notice a lot of movement in the industry. Then September, October are again half yearly. Lot of firms announce their increments and bonuses in August and September. So people who want to make a move after taking their incentives, bonuses, we do see a lot of movement in those months as well. But yes, from an
All
HR
right.
planning perspective, I would make one plan at the beginning of the year as to what my hiring look likes. But then during the year, a lot of it would be based on the kind of matters that I have in hand.
All right. Nipun, one very important question that we have with you right now is you said that you do see how streamlined is the CV. What kind of specialized? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So you do see that how streamlined is the CV, how much has a person worked on a specific area to ensure that his CV looks a particular way. However, there are a lot of people who have a different, different kind of work experience or different kind of internships they undertake. However, at a certain point, they figure out that okay, no, this is the point in time where I need to make a switch to something else. For example, a person might have 2 years of litigation experience, but he might just not like it enough and he would want to make a shift to a corporate. In those circumstances, how do you make that difference? Is a CV disqualified in the first instance because of the lack of experience, or do these kind of people also have an opportunity in making this switch at a law firm?
No, so yes, some firms do have. They would definitely consider if you need to make a practice area shift. So, for example, you've worked for litigation team for 2 years, and then you do realize one fine day that okay, I'm not enjoying litigation, not my cup of tea. I need to make a shift to say corporate or IPR. While firms would be open to consider that shift, I have a very pertinent and students need the lawyers need to be prepared for something like this is if you decide to change your practice area, you need to also be prepared to take a hit in terms of discounting your experience. So if you have say worked for 3 years out and out in litigation, and now you want to start with me as a corporate lawyer, I may be willing to take you, but I will definitely not uh, be taking you at an cost of a same resource who comes on board with 3 years of hardcore corporate experience. If you are changing a practice area, I may be willing to consider you, but you may also be willing to come on board as a fresher, or at least, if not, so if you have, say, 3 years of experience, I may discount it at, say, 75% or 80% and take you as an A1 because you're not an out and out fresher, but for that particular practice area, you do not have the expertise. So firms are open for a shift in practice area, but yes, you have to start as a fresher. It's a very interesting anecdote. I one of the lawyers who was extremely well trained in real estate documentation and everything, tried. So the firm also had banking and finance as one of the practice areas. So after 4 or 5 years, the person became very well versed in documentation and all due diligences, title certificates, everything. But the person said, "Oh no, it's getting monotonous. Can I now shift to banking and finance?" Now, the firm has invested 4 or 5 years in a resource, and you bring a certain expertise to the table. For me, you can tomorrow go and front end the clients. You are probably on the path to become either a senior associate or principal associate. Now, at this juncture of 4 or 5 years, you come and say that you want to start with banking and finance, where you are almost going to be equated, if not with a fresher, at an A1 or an A2 level. So we had no other option but to, you know, tell the concerned lawyer that yes, if that is the case, we may be willing to give you a shift, but you'll have to start afresh. And the person did not take it too well. So guys, if you have not been able to make up your mind, or if you make up your mind at a later stage, please be also be prepared to be reasonable, so as to, you know, take that discount in terms of what your experience should look like.
All right. Uh, Nipun, you said that in most of the cases, while recruitment of PPO or off-campus growth, it's based, it's requirement based, it's contingent based. So how can, and this is a question by Shruti Maheshwari, that how can people understand or get to know or be updated of the fact that a firm is on a hiring spree or a hiring process at a certain point? What is the best way to keep yourself updated?
The best way to keep yourself updated is to be in touch with the HR team. A lot of times when people do contact me and I say that, you know, we're not looking to hire as of now, people think that this is those typical HR language, excuses that I'm coming up with. But that's actually not the case. If the firm is not looking to hire, I will probably, uh, uh, will have to. I give them a time frame of, say, you know, um, approach me at the time when, say, in a quarter, I know the hiring is going to happen in, say, maybe next quarter, right, because of the kind of workflow that I see. So people will have to believe and be in touch with the HR people, or from people, lawyers who are within the firm. See, that this is one knowledge, Aditya, that never gets published. It's something which is very tacit. You can pick it either from your contacts or from people you know in the industry. No firm would publish that, oh, we are doing, you know, such things. And oh, people have to be. That's why I say, when uh, you have
Nipun, I'm sorry we lost you again. Can you hear me? Nipun, can you hear me? Hello? Nipun, can you hear me? Am I audible? Nipun, can you hear me? Guys, we are extremely apologetic about the constant network failure happening today. All this is just to ensure you all that we do have a dry run before coming on air, but there are times when things go beyond our control and there's not much that we can do about it. I'm extremely apologetic for the network constant congestion, but Nipun is back with us. And Nipun, we were at
Guys,
the
I'm
ideal
extremely
time.
sorry. I don't know what's the internet issue, but I'm extremely sorry with it. Yes, go ahead.
No, no, that's perfectly all right. So, Nipun, we were at the question as to how can one keep themselves updated, and you were telling us that it is extremely difficult for people to know that.
Yeah.
However, keeping a constant touch with the HR team helps. Now, how do we keep in constant touch when you're already getting call every day by interns and job seekers? How do we maintain that cordial relationship with an HR, which is in itself a very difficult process?
I'm really glad you brought about this topic because at the cost of offending a few people, I will have to probably bring this topic up. I'd suggest I think you've probably touched upon a very sensitive topic. It's good to be friendly with the HR team. It is definitely not cool to send your applications over WhatsApp. I think WhatsApp is increasingly being used as a medium of professional interaction. I would, while I do agree that yes, it's a mode of communication, but I feel WhatsApp is extremely personal. I would want to put, it's my personal space. SMS any day is definitely a more professional way to approaching. Phone calls, yes. As I said, a periodicity of say once in a fortnight is good enough. But see, keeping in touch, no hiring is going to happen or take place overnight. Even if I'm looking out, I will have those 15, 20 days of a window to look for a resource and hire. So if you speak to somebody once a month, is good enough. But if I've categorically told you to contact me in, say, a particular quarter or say in the month of June, then you do contact me in the month of June and do not start anticipating that, oh, something, there is no fear of missing out here. So if I ask you to speak to me in May, please do speak to me in May, not in start hounding me in the month of April. And please, please, no PDF attachments, no applications unless specifically called for are to be sent on WhatsApp. That's a very personal space. If I befriend a candidate, or if you are personally known to me, sending periodic highs and hellos definitely works. But please do not send good morning messages with a cup of tea. It really, really is no brownie point. I mean, no, no, it's a big strict no.
All right. Nipun, we are left with 3 minutes, but we have a very important question that we want to touch upon. And this is, thanks, Kunal, for bringing this up. Uh, the value of an institution in a country like India is very high. Engineers from IITs are preferred any day over the local engineering universities, and same is the case with national law universities and non-national and other private colleges as well. Is the non-NLU student, how will you evaluate his or her CV? If that student is not from a very well-known college and has decent to average scores, how will you consider such an application?
Aditya, honestly speaking, I see the trend changing a lot. Yes, the cream premier schools are there. They are there to stay. But I see an increasing shift in the partners, increasing shift in the managing partners, where hardcore merit in terms of what the person brings to the table in terms of knowledge or a lot of practical exposure is being taken into consideration, not just the school. So if you see, there are interesting trends developing when there are firms. I maybe 4 5 years earlier than this, I wouldn't see designations like a trainee associate being roped in. Today, I see a lot of firms are willing to take kids on board who are even from lesser known colleges as trainee associates, try them out for a couple of months, and then firms really would take you on board if you are performing well, if you are smart, if you are not hesitant to take on new work. I think law schools are increasingly becoming maybe just a one-off expression, but I don't see this trend being catching on so far. There used to be a time when your schooling mattered, so people only from say a DPS or a very high profile school would probably be considered. I don't come from a very popular school. I am a Delhi University student when it comes to law, so I do not see that there is any dearth of opportunities, or is it this being only criteria? If you have the right attitude, if you play your cards well, when I say play your cards well means if you come across as somebody who is mature in the approach, planned in the approach, I do not see law school is just a prima facie. Maybe it's just one of the many things that are considered, but definitely not a make or break.
All right, Nipun, right at 9 o'clock. This is all we have for all of you watching us today. Kunal, thank you for bringing that question. I hope all of your questions are, most of your questions are answered today. Definitely, we could not take all of them because the questions. But thank you so much, Nipun, for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you on board. Cracking through an HR's eyes is like the most difficult task, and you've definitely helped a lot of us today to get over that fear of approaching an HR, and I'm pretty sure of that. Thank
Thank
you.
you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Thank you so
All
much
right.
for giving me this opportunity, having me over on this. I'd love to reconnect with everybody once again.
Yes, definitely. We'll have you again probably next time talking about the various career opportunities, which are not conventionally legal but available for law students with you next time. Uh, for all of you who's watching us today, we are extremely sorry about the slight network congestion that we have in between. We are trying very hard to not have them over and over again, but there are times when we cannot control the situation. Tomorrow, we are joined by somebody who has cracked three judicial, and she will be talking about how to get into the well-known and the most honorable judiciary. Do not miss out on that. For everybody who's watching us, please like, share, and subscribe. Do not forget to press the bell icon. I am Aditya, only on an hour with LawSikho every day, 8 to 9. Keep watching us, and thank you so much for today. Thank you, Nipun. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.